James Harden scores 36 points. Rockets rout Warriors 129 to 112.
James Harden scores 36 points. Rockets rout Warriors 129 and 112. James Harden scores 36 points. Rockets rout Warriors 129 and 112.
Despite an entirely different lineup of Golden State Warriors, James Harden was still out for blood last Wednesday night.
Despite an entirely different lineup of Golden State Warriors, James Harden was still out for blood last Wednesday night. Despite an entirely different lineup of the Golden State Warriors, James Harden was still out for blood last Wednesday night.
Harden had 36 points and 13 assists, and the Houston Rockets routed Golden State 129 to 112.
Harden had 36 points and 13 assists, and the Houston Rockets routed Golden State 129 and 112.
For blood last Wednesday night. Harden had 36 points and 13 assists, and the Houston Rockets routed Golden State 129 to 112,
Harden had 36 points and 13 assists, and the Houston Rockets routed Golden State 129 and 112.
Short-handed Warriors to their 6th loss in 8 games this season.
Sending the hard-worked Warriors to their 6th loss in 8 games this season. Sending the short-handed Warriors to their 6th loss in 8 games this season. Sending the short-handed Warriors to their 6th loss in 8 games this season.
Less than 6 months ago, a vastly different roster of Warriors ended another Houston playoff run for the 3rd time in 4 seasons.
Less than 6 months ago, a vastly different roster of Warriors ended another Houston playoff run for the 3rd time in 4 seasons. Less than 6 months ago, a vastly different roster of Warriors ended another Houston playoff run for the 3rd time in 4 seasons. Less than 6 months ago, a vastly different roster of Warriors ended another Houston playoff run for the 3rd time in 4 seasons.
That's a part of the league, Harden said about the changing faces.
That's a part of the league, Harden said about the changing faces. That's a part of the league, Harden said about the changing faces.
It's a part of the NBA. There's been a lot.
It's a part of the NBA. It's a part of the NBA.
A lot of different faces since I've been here. It was bound.
There's been a lot of different faces since I've been here. There's been a lot of different faces since I've been here.
Bound to happen at some point, and it is what it is.
It was bound to happen at some point, and it is what it is. It was bound to happen at some point, and it is what it is. It was bound to happen at some point, and it is what it is. That's a part of the league, Harden said about the changing faces. It's a part of the NBA. There's been a lot of different faces since I've been here. It was bound to happen at some point, and it is what it is.
Harden again appeared to be moving past his early shooting woes, going 6 of 16 from 3-point range.
Harden again appeared to be moving past his early shooting woes, going 6 to 16 from 3-point range. Harden again appeared to be moving past. Harden again appeared to be moving past his early shooting woes, going 6 of 16 from three-point range.
Since going 17 of 79 on threes in his first 6 games, Harden has made 13 of 32 in the last 2.
Since going 17 of 79 on threes in his first 6 games, Harden has made 13 of 32 the last 2. Harden again appeared to be moving fast this early shooting balls, going 6 of 16 from three-point range. Since going 17 of 79 on threes in his first 6 games, Harden has made 13 of 32 the last 2.
Harden's 292 points through the first 8 games, 36.5 points per game, mark the highest point total through 8 games since Michael Jordan had 303 in 1988-89.
Harden's 292 points throughout the first 8 games, 36.5 points per game, mark the highest point total throughout 8 games since Michael Jordan had 303 in 1988 and 89. Harden's 292 points throughout the first 8 games, 36.5 points per game, mark the highest point total rough 8 games since Michael Jordan had 303 in 1988 and 89.
Russell Westbrook had 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. PJ Tucker had 22 points and 11 rebounds. Clint Capella added 19 points and 16 rebounds. And Austin Rivers was 4 for 4 from 3 with 12 points.
Russell Westbrook had 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. PJ Tucker had 22 points and 11 rebounds. Clint Capella added 19 points and 16 rebounds, and Austin Rivers was 4 for 4 from 3 with 12 points. Russell Westbrook had 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. PJ Tucker had 22 points and 11 rebounds. Clint Capella added 19 points and 16 rebounds, and Austin Rivers was 4 for 4 from 3 with 12 points.
Alec Burks led Golden State with 28 points. Eric Pascal had 19
Alice Burks led Golden State with 28 points.
And Glenn Robinson III added 15 points and 11 rebounds.
Eric Pascal had 19 points, and Glenda Rispon III added 15 points and 11 rebounds. Alec Burks led Golden State with 28 points. Eric Pascal had 19 points, and Glenn Robinson III added 15 points and 11 rebounds.
The rookie Pascal was challenged with guarding Harden for much of the game.
The rookie Pascal was challenged with guarding Harden for much of the game. The rookie Pascal was challenged with guarding Harden for much of the game. The rookie Pascal was challenged with guarding Harden for much of the game.
It's just hard because he's so dynamic, and he's a great passer, Pascal said.
It's just hard because he's so dynamic and he's a great passer, Pascal said. It's just hard because he's so dynamic and he's a great passer, Pascal said.
And during his isolation plays, you can't really touch him because he's so smart on how he draws the fouls.
And during his isolation plays, You can't really touch him because he's so smart on how he draws the force. And during his isolation plays, you can't really touch him because he's so smart on how he draws the force.
As a team, we did a great job in the first half, but then he got hot and started hitting threes.
As a team, he did a good job in the first half, but then he got hot and started hitting threes. As a team, we did a good job in the first half, but then he got hot and started hitting threes. The rookie pass Chow.
James Harden scores 36 points. Rockets rout Warriors 129 to 112. Despite an entirely different lineup of Golden State Warriors, James Harden was still out for blood last Wednesday night. Harden had 36 points and 13 assists, and the Houston Rockets routed Golden State 129 to 112, sending the short-handed Warriors to their sixth loss in 8 games this season. Less than 6 months ago, a vastly different roster of Warriors ended another Houston playoff run for the third time in 4 seasons. That's a part of the league, Harden said above the changing faces. It's a part of the NBA. There's been a lot of different faces since I've been here. It was bound to happen at some point, and it is what it is. Harden again appeared to be moving past his early shooting woes, going 6 of 16 from three-point range. Since going 17 of 79 on threes in his first 6 games, Harden has made 13 of 32 in the last 2. Harden's 292 points through the first 8 games, 36.5 points per game, marked the highest point total through 8 games since Michael Jordan had 303 in 1988 to 89. Russell Westbrook had 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. PJ Tucker had 22 points and 11 rebounds. Clint Capella added 19 points and 16 rebounds. And Austin Rivers was 4 for 4 from 3 with 12 points. Alec Burks led Golden State with 28 points. Eric Pascal had 19 points, and Glenn Robinson III added 15 points and 11 rebounds. The rookie Pascal was challenged with guarding Harden for much of the game. It's just hard because he's so dynamic, and he's a great passer, Pascal said. And during his isolation plays, you can't really touch him because he's so smart on how he draws the fouls. As a team, we did a great job in the first half, but then he got hot and started hitting threes.
The word war in the 5th paragraph means things that cause sorrow or distress. One of the 5 small parts that stick out from the foot, the ability to do something well. What is Harden's attitude to Warriors' new face? He thinks that's normal. He feels really sorry. He gloated over it. Who scored the highest points in this game of Golden State Warriors? Things that cause sorrow and distress. Isolation 孤独孤寂孤立无援 In isolation 孤独的脱离的 Publishment cannot be discussed in isolation from social theory. Many deaf people have feeling of isolation and long lines. Draw the force. Isolation. In isolation, punishment cannot be discussed in isolation from social theory. Many deaf people have feeling of the isolation and loneliness. It's just hard because he's so dynamic and he's a great passer, Pascal said. And during his isolation plays, you can't really touch him because he's so smart on how he draws the force. As a team, he did a good job in the first half, but then he got hot and started hitting threes. Dynamic 人精力充沛的，有干劲的，富有新思想的。He seemed a dynamic and energetic leader. Dynamic political debate is dynamic. Debate is dynamic 富有动态的变化的 dynamic 活跃的充满活力的 90 minutes of dynamic India folk dance 90分钟活力四射的印第安民间舞蹈 Isolation 孤立的 draws the force 造成犯规 In isolation The Rocky Pascal was challenged with gardening Harden for much of the game. Rocky 第一年参加比赛的新队员新秀菜鸟 Rocky 新秀菜鸟优质新兵 A member of a sports meet in his or her first full year of playing that sport. Rocky, I don't want to have another Rocky to train. I don't want to have another Rocky to train. Rocky, guard 防守防卫Gunmen guarded homes near the cemetery with shotguns. Guard 兵名词卫兵警卫员 The prisoners overpowered their cars and locked them in the cell. Guard 保护装置保护罩 Guard 保护装置保护罩 The chain guard of my helmet. The chain guard of my helmet 我头盔上的下巴保护罩 The chain guard of my helmet. Guard 警戒 Catch someone off guard. Catch someone off guard 趁某人不备猝不及防 Guard 警戒 Catch someone off guard 趁某人不备猝不及防 Lower your guard. Let your guard down. Drop your guard 丧失警惕 Under guard 在看守之下 The invitation had caught me off guard. You can't let your guard down. 3 members were arrested and 1 were under guard in hospital. 3 members were arrested and 1 was under guard in hospital. Russell Westbrook had 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. PJ Tucker had 22 points and 11 rebounds. Clint Campbell added 19 points in 16 rebounds, and Austin Rivers was 4 for 4 from 3 win 12 points. Russell Westbrook had 18 points. Rebound 篮板球 rebound 弹回反弹 The hot liquid splashed down the concrete and rebound. The hot liquid splashed down on the concrete and rebounded. Rebound, the act of catching the ball after a player has thrown it at the basket and has not scored a point. Rebound, 反弹弹回 Harden's 292 points throughout the first 8 games, 36.5 points per game, mark the highest point total throughout 8 games since Michael Jordan had 303 in 1988 and 89. 主语 Harden's 292 points throughout the first 8 games 用来修饰292 points Mark 是谓语 ，the point 是宾语。Throughout 8 games 修饰 the point since 引导时间状语 since 引导时间状语 since Michael Jordan had 303 in 1988 and 89. Hayden again appeared to be moving past his early shooting walls, going 6 of 16 from three-point range, since going 17 of 79 on threes in his first 6 games. Harden has made 13 of 32 the last 2. Whoa. 麻烦问题困难 woe betide somebody or woe to somebody. Woe betide anyone wearing the wrong color. Woe betide anyone wearing the wrong color. He did not tell his relatives and friends about his woes. Woe 悲痛悲伤哀伤 He listened to my tale of woe. That's a part of the league, Hayden said about the changing faces. It's a part of the NBA. There's been a lot of different faces since I've been here. It was bound to happen at some point, and it is what it is. Be bound to. There are bound to be price increases next year. Bound. Less than six months ago, a vastly different roster of Warriors ended another Houston playoff run for the third time in 4 seasons. Roster 名单，运动员名册，花名册 roster。执勤表 duty roster. He was in his office preparing his duty roster for the coming month. Roster 将什么什么放入名单中。Playoff run regular season. Harden had 36 points and 13 assists, and the Houston Rockets routed Golden State 129 to 122. Sending the short-headed Warriors to their 6th loss in 8 games in this season. Assist 助攻 an action in hockey, baseball, etc. in which a player helps another player on the same team to score a global point. Short-headed 人手不足 We are actually a bit short-headed at the moment. Short-head, undermanned, understaffed, undermanned, short-staffed, short-headed. Despite an entirely different lineup of Golden State Warriors, James Harden was still out of blood last Wednesday night. Lineup 阵容 start lineup be out of blood 为了复仇而学习。The opposite team is out of blood, but we have a good defense. Despite an entirely different lineup of Golden State Warrior.Despite 表尽管后面接了一个名词 line up of 后边的 state warrior 用来修饰 line up entirely different 也是用来形容 line up James Harden 是主句的主语 was 是系动词 last Wednesday 是 night 是主语是时间状语 Despite an entirely different lineup of Golden State Warriors, James Harden was still out for blood last Wednesday night.James Harden scores 36 points. Rockets roll out Warriors 129 and 100 to 112, rout 彻底击败 a defeat somebody completely in a competition, a battle etc. rout 溃败 one after another, the interlane bases in the desert fell as a retreat turned into a rout. 溃败 routed. Despite an entirely different lineup of warriors, James Harden was still out of blood last Wednesday night. It was bound to happen at some point, and it is what it is. It is just hard because it is so dynamic and is a great passer. Bound to hard because great passer. 爆破音加舌边音 different lineup, bloodlust. Out for mark the. 爆破音加摩擦音 mark the. Out for lineup of what it is a.
Despite an entirely different lineup of warriors, James Harden was still out for blood last Wednesday night.
Despite an entirely different lineup of warriors, James Harden was still out of blood last Wednesday night. Despite an entirely different lineup of warriors, James Harden was still out for blood last Wednesday night.
It was bound to happen at some point, and it is what it is.
It was bound to happen at some point, and it is what it is.
It's just hard because he's so dynamic, and he's a great passer.
It's just hard because he's so dynamic, and he's a great passer.